3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, we're just going to give people a few minutes who might be coming from other meetings. So we'll probably start just slightly after past. Hello everyone, we're just going to give a couple of minutes to allow people to move enough from other calls. So we'll start in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Okay, could we make a start then, please, McKenna and Harry?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ikenna Emenyonu, and I'm a Solution Specialist Manager at Netcall. And today I'll be talking to you about Patient Hub and how it can be used to help you navigate these interesting times. Okay, I'm just going to move over to my presentation now and talk to you a bit more about the Patient Hub solution. From an agenda perspective, my intention is to cover and give you a very brief overview of what Patient Hub is. I'll also run through a bit of a demo. So rather than share with you a number of slides, I'll walk you through some demos and show you some real life experiences of what Patient Hub can do, and then finish up with some Q&A sessions at the end of this. Okay, moving on to Patient Hub. What is Patient Hub? Patient Hub is a secure online portal which allows patients to initially set their contact preferences and update their contact details. So this is more a GDPR related requirement that we've implemented in the product to allow patients to update, give them the right to update their contact details with the hospitals, organizations. They can view their appointment details and any related information. And by that, I mean appointment letters, leaflets, pamphlets, any information that you want them to see regarding their appointments. They can then move on to confirm, rebook, or cancel their hospital appointments. And bear in mind that these are mainly requests to cancel. The cancellation still needs to be done by the hospitals. They can view a copy of the letter the clinicians have sent to them, sent to their GP. So if they want a copy of that, they can see that via the Patient Hub. If we have that as a feed into the Patient Hub as well. They can complete pre-assessment, pre-discharge, friends and family surveys, basically, on the Patient Hub as well. And they can communicate with clinicians or administrators securely. So if there are messages that need to go out to patients, then the Patient Hub can be used to deliver those. Now, of recent or of late, we've added in test results as a module into the Patient Hub as well, more to deal with the COVID-19 times, being able to deliver those test results relatively quickly to patients after they've had their tests and the results have been processed. And also we implemented a virtual queuing solution into the system itself. So when patients arrive for their appointments, they can be virtually queued until they are required to come into the actual hospital themselves for their appointment. But you'll see a bit of that as I go through the demo as we go on. Now, some of the key features that are relevant to the demo I'll be showing today is real-time integration via Hl7, something we've managed to achieve with CaMIS. I'll talk a bit more about it just before I start the demo. We've also implemented two-factor authentication. So as a patient, there are no login details to remember, no username and passwords. All you need is your mobile number, email address, date of birth, and you can get access to the Patient Hub. And I will demonstrate that as I go through the demo as well. Patients are notified of tasks and events relating to their appointments via SMS or email. We send out notifications to patients, so that way we are pushing out information to them, so proactively getting them to come into the system rather than waiting for them to log in to find out the information. And the key design feature of Patient Hub is that it's being built as and seen by a number of our customers as the digital gateway. So it's the one place that patients can go to view all of their interactions, whether it's to view their appointments, letters, receive any messages from the clinicians or clinical administrators, update their profile, complete surveys, anything they need to do. It's the digital gateway into the hospital or the trust or the board if it's in Scotland. Okay, so that gives you a very quick overview of what Patient Hub is. Now we for the demo, what I'm planning to show you today will be focused on the patient experience itself. And before I do that, I'll share some information about the integration we've managed to achieve via Hl7. Okay, so we have a Hl7 integration with CaMIS at one of our sites, and on that site, the Hl7 integration means that we can receive patient and appointment information in real time. So whenever there's a newly created patient or appointment or changes to patient and appointment data, we get that in real time. Alongside a whole host of things about the appointment as well. More recently, we've extended that to include support for the consultation media flag. And essentially what that does is via Hl7, it tells us, provided the right field have been set in the PAS, whether an appointment is a face-to-face appointment, a telephone appointment, or a video appointment, which, you know, in the more recent times has become more and more of a significance than before. Now, what that means is that because of that consultation media flag, we can tailor the patient's experience or the interface to the type of consultation they'll be having, which you will see as I run through a few of the demos this afternoon. The demo will basically focus on the patient experience, as I said. We'll touch a bit on the symptom checker, what to do before you attend your appointment, if it's a face-to-face appointment, and then the check-in process. Okay. I am just going to drop into the interface for the patient hub. What you should be able to see on your screens right now is on the left-hand side is the admin interface or the clinical interface that we have for patient hub. There's a lot more to it and there are a lot more interfaces, but I'm only just going to focus on this particular one for the purposes of this particular demo. And on the right-hand side, I'm also projecting my my mobile phone, basically, because we believe most of the interactions with patient hub from patients will occur over the mobile phone. So I want to show you what the patient experience is over the mobile phone. Okay, I mentioned earlier on that patient hub receives and sends out notifications, receives patient and appointment information and sends out notifications to patients via SMSs or email. I'm just showing you an email, my email list for now. In this case, I took the opportunity and the liberty of setting myself up a few appointments, and you'll see they would receive an email of this and an SMS if they have a mobile setup as well, in a very similar fashion. And all that is doing is giving them a link for them to click on to access the patient hub, which when I do that, it takes me to the patient's interface. Okay. When I've arrived there, as I mentioned, there are no username and passwords to enter. So what I do need is my mobile phone number or email address. I'm going to enter my mobile phone number, 533974, and my date of birth. Okay, what that does is it does a check on the data we have on the system or we receive from your PAS. And if that is actually correct and it marries up, it sends an SMS message with an authentication code for you to complete the authentication. So in this case, it's 086745. 086745. And once I've entered that into the patient hub, patient's interface, I'm then logged into the patient hub where I can access a whole bunch of things. Now, if this is the first time I've ever accessed the patient hub, I'll initially be taken to a profile page or my profile page where I can confirm my contact details. So my mobile number, my email address. I can also set my preferences, i.e. how do I want to be contacted, i.e. do I want just SMS or email and vice versa. Okay, so you can do a number of things. If you choose, and this is also a key feature of the integration we have at CaMIS as it is right now, if you choose to edit your demographic information, so whether it's your mobile phone number or your email address, you can do that and submit a new contact number, for example. And what we've actually done at a particular customer site is we've used the ability to write back that information into the PAS. So effectively, we encode the request in Hl7, we push it down the tie, and as a result of the interface that CaMIS has, we're able to update the mobile field for that particular patient there and then. So it's fully automated rather than having somebody do it manually. Okay, so that's something that is available. I'm just going to cancel that now because I want to retain my contact details. I click on confirm, and I'm back to my home screen. If I go into the appointments, these are some of the appointments I set up earlier on today. You'll notice that some of them are face-to-face. You can see that because it says City Hospital as a location. One of them is a video consultation. One of them is a phone consultation. And then last one there is actually another face-to-face appointment. if I start with the video consultation for now, so this is my list of new appointments. So at the top of your screen, you can see a new attending and history up there. A new shows you a list of appointments that are new to your interface. So these are appointments that have newly been created for you and require your attention. If I go into attending, these are the appointments that I've accepted that I want to attend. And when I accept one of the new appointments, it will appear in here. And my history just shows me all of the historical appointments that I may have attended, not attended, cancelled, basically appointments that are in the past effectively. Okay, so going back to new, what I will do is go to the video consultation one, because I'd like to show you what the video consultation interface looks like, and accept that. Okay, when I accept it, I'm rewarded with a bit more information, so I can see the specialty, the date and time of the actual appointment itself. There's a note there telling me that, look, to attend the appointment, you have to arrive here 10 minutes before and click on the video consultation button to get access to the actual appointment. Okay, I'll come back to that. Below there are a few other buttons as well. I can, if I want to, save this appointment in my calendar, download a calendar file, essentially. That just basically adds it to my phone calendar if I wish to. I can choose to rebook or cancel the appointment. And also I can see any document that has been attached to the actual appointment for me to view if I just click in on that particular link itself. Okay, so that just shows any document that have been attached to the appointment. Okay, if I come back to the video consultation, so fast forward to the 29th of July at 11:10, 10 minutes past 11, for example. I come back to my screen, log back in, and I click on the go to video consultation button. What that will do is to take me to, for those of you who have Attend Anywhere or using Attend Anywhere for your video consultations, takes you to the familiar page, which is the waiting area, where you can test your setup, if you like, to see that you can conclude the consultation by video correctly, enter your details, and then you're stuck in a waiting area waiting for a consultant to come and arrive and pick you out. Okay, so that's what the video consultation looks like. Okay, it's very focused on the fact that it's a video consultation. You don't need to arrive on site. This is the date and time of the appointment, and here's the button to click on before you actually attend your appointment. Okay, now what I will do is also show a slight difference, which is basically, I'll pick the one for 12 o'clock. So this is an on-site appointment, just to show you what that looks like. If I accept that now, again, I'm rewarded with a bit more information, location of the appointment, date and time, where specifically to go for the appointment. So ground floor reception at City Hospital. Any appointment letters that have been attached to the actual appointment itself, I can see that. So that's my appointment letter, which I might want to print out and store or bring with me to the hospital, depending on what I want to do with it. With that, it would be any leaflets or attachments with it as well. And again, I can download the appointment as a calendar file and store it on my calendar. I can choose to rebook or cancel the appointment. And because it's a face-to-face or an on-site appointment, there's a lot more information about where the hospital is, where the department is, and how to get to the clinic itself while I'm in hospital. So all of that information is configurable on the interface, and you can get access to it. Okay, and so that is essentially what the appointment interfaces look like for an on-site versus a video, or indeed if it's a telephone, it would be a telephone number that would appear on the interface itself. Now, what I've done as well is this: if you imagine you're now due for your actual appointment, and if I bring your attention back to the left-hand side of this particular screen now on an interface, so this is the clinician's interface. What I'd like to do is show you the virtual queuing element of the solution as well. So because of COVID-19 and in more recent times, what we found, or what some of our customers spoke to us about, is they wanted the ability to not overwhelm their waiting area. So when patients arrive for their appointments, if it's an on-site appointment, they would rather they waited in their car, in the car park, or close to the hospital, and then they would then be invited in. Okay, so this is the interface that a patient, clinician, or an administrator for a particular clinic would have to see. And in there, I can see all of the appointments just log back in. in here, I can see all of the appointments for today, which I have none, but I do have a few for tomorrow. So this is the one I accepted, which is on the 22nd of July at 12 o'clock. Okay, so this is the one that the patient accepted. And what would have happened as well is that for that particular patient, 24 hours before the actual appointment, they'll be sent a symptom checker just to check that they are COVID-free before they arrive on site. So if I go back to my phone now and access my SMS messages, you'll be able to see the appointment. So that this is the symptom checker. So this is all built into the workflow. So 24 hours before the appointment or 48 hours before the appointment, the patient is sent an SMS message telling them that they have to complete a symptom checker in effect before they actually attend site. As a patient, if I click on that link, there are a few questions I need to answer. And if I just say, right, I am asymptomatic, as in I'm not showing any symptoms, and submit that. Okay. Because of the results I've given, and the survey indicates that I'm not displaying any symptoms of COVID-19 and I should attend my appointment. Okay, and what would then happen is I will then get sent a separate SMS message, which is basically an I've arrived message telling me when I get to site, I need to inform the patient, not come into the hospital, but inform the clinic via the link available that I have arrived on for that particular appointment. Okay, if I go back to my clinician screen here, you'll be able to see that they accepted their appointment, they filled in their survey, they're asymptomatic. That's my SMS message that has just arrived. I'll come back to a second. I can actually see as a clinician the results of the survey that they actually filled in. So they said no to all of the questions, whether they had a cough or high temperature or change in sense of smell or taste, shortness of breath. All of that is no. So I'm happy with that. Okay, and I'm just going to wait for them to tell me that they've arrived. I can see that they haven't arrived at this point. If I go back to my patient's interface on the right hand side and go back to the message, one that's just really arrived for me now, you can see that it's telling me that, dear Mr. Patient, the results of the survey suggest that you don't have COVID-19 or you're not displaying symptoms of COVID-19. When you arrive at the hospital, please do not enter the hospital buildings, but rather click on the link to tell us you have arrived. If I click on that link, because I'm now sat in the car park of the appointment and confirm that I've car park of the hospital and confirm that I've arrived and click send. Okay, from a clinician's perspective, that will be reflected on my screen telling me that that patient has now arrived. Okay, and I have the option to invite them in. So typically what I would do at this point is I'll monitor the waiting area I have available, see the amount of people there, and when it's safe for the patient to come in, I'll send them a message saying that they should come in. I'll invite them in. And what that happens is that triggers again an SMS message to the patient telling them that they can now attend their appointment. Okay. So if you can see there, the last message they're saying that I'm ready to be seen and I should turn up or come to the ground floor reception of the city hospital. So that gives you an idea of how how you could virtually queue patients before they actually turn up or appear for their particular appointment, whether it's on site, off site on the car park, or it's in a location close to the hospital, essentially waiting for their appointment and the message to invite them in, having completed a symptom survey checker. The other thing I want to do actually as well is I want to take you back and show you what happens in a scenario where a patient is showing symptoms of COVID-19. So in this particular scenario, I'm going to suggest that I am showing symptoms. I'm just going to log back in, again, mobile number and date of birth. Okay, and then I'll be sent my security code, 318899. Okay, I'm logged in. what I will do is I'm going to accept the second appointment I had for cardiology on the 22nd of July. Okay, and I'm back to that detail page again. Now I'm going to go back to the SMS message I received for the symptom checker, because all of that is built into the workflow for the 22nd of July. And in this case, what I'm going to say is, okay. Second, just refresh that on my screen on here. Okay, that's sent. Okay, and in this case, I'm going to suggest that I do have symptoms. So that's all yes. I have continuous cough. I have high temperature, and this is not particularly great. And then I'm going to send that in as a response. Okay, straight away I'm told I'm displaying symptoms of COVID-19, and since the hospital is trying to remain COVID-free, I am not to attend my appointment. If I go onto the clinician's interface on the left-hand side right now and reflect that on there, I can see that that particular appointment, the patient's responses suggest that they are symptomatic. If I look at the results, I can see what they've actually submitted. So these are all yeses. And so for that particular appointment, they're not going to attend. And actually, you will notice as well is that while they had accepted that appointment previously, this is now set to rebook. So essentially, the rebook request will be sent into the hospital to request that that appointment be rebooked because they can't attend. Okay, and that just gives you a feel of how the patient hub can work in terms of managing your appointments. You can view your letters, view your details, store details of the appointment on your phone. You can choose the option to rebook or cancel that appointment. Again, either a request is sent into the booking center or a call is made in real time to the booking center to have those appointments rebooked. Prior to the appointment, you so a day or two, if it's a face-to-face appointment, you be sent the symptoms checker. You feel that depending on your symptoms that you are displaying, you either be allowed to attend the appointment, in which case when you do arrive at the appointment, you check in with the hospital via the patient hub, and they invite you in via an SMS to tell you when it's ready for you to be seen. If the results of your symptom checker are negative, as in you are showing symptoms of COVID-19, then the appointment is automatically rebooked. You're advised about it and that you're not to attend the appointment itself. Okay, and also what we also showed earlier on as well was our support for the various types of consultations that can happen, whether it's face-to-face, it's video, or it's telephone. And that really does conclude my demonstration for this point. I'll be happy to take any questions that you may have now as well.
Okay, Kenneth, thanks for that. It was really informative. And I can see it. I can see that the first time I've seen that presentation that there's potential areas where we, from CaMIS perspective, we could look to import certain triggers. So if the patient's arrived, or even to be able to say to invite them in as well. So that's a conversation we'll have to have. But there's one question at the moment.
Okay.
It's from Chris, and he said, is there any scope to set up home visit appointments?
Yes, there can be. From our perspective, if you consider that from a user experience perspective or user interface perspective, it's just a different UI, and the messaging is slightly different. Everything else about it may well be the same, i.e. you have an appointment on this day and this time, but the message in this case would be rather than you arrive on this site or you click on the link or we will call you at this time. If it's a telephone appointment, it will be a case of we will visit you at this time. if it's a home visit. So yes, there is scope to do that. Happy to talk to you more about it if that's something you're interested in.
Okay, and I suppose that would come from a patient administration perspective, where if you allowed them to set up, if you allowed home visit clinics to be set up, potentially they would just be treated in a normal way.
Yes, they would. I mean, the way we've done this. And the way we've done this is using the consultation media. So I imagine there'll be a code for a home visit. So there'll be a code, as there is a code for face-to-face or a telephone or a video consultation. There'll be a code for a home visit. And in that scenario, when we receive that code, we would then react accordingly, basically, and deliver the appropriate message to the patient.
Yeah, and within CaMIS, that's something that's within the configuration of the trust, so they would be able to create that that piece of configuration, and once again that would flow through in the usual manner to NetHub, and then you could act on it.
Correct.
Okay. That's the only question that's come through.
Okay.
I'll just give it 1 minute in case there's any late entries. Anybody wants to raise another question while we've got you. But I should mention this is all being recorded, and we're going to publish it for people to review in case anybody missed the beginning of the presentation. But once again, I'd just like to thank you again, Ikenna. Really informative presentation. Well, Joe, we've got a couple of minutes. Is there anything that you could advise on or provide information on? That is there anything that Netcall does that maybe other people don't?
Yeah. So the other thing as well is one thing we realize is that try as hard as you may, digitizing all of your appointments is never going to be possible. You're never going to get 100% of people accessing a digital interface to manage and deal with their appointments. So what we've actually done, and happy to show this if anybody's interested, if you can reach out through EMIS, and we in Netcall will be happy to set up a demonstration and show you this as well. What we do is we have a contact center technology. So while a patient might choose to rebook their appointment or cancel their appointment, you may be able to achieve that to a certain extent directly on the PAS, so cancel the appointment itself. Where that is impossible, we have the ability to route that through to a call handler or booking agent or the contact center in real time as the patient is there. And we will give them contextual information about that request. So this is the appointment date and time. This is their request. They want to rebook it. So that way the agent can deal with the call as well. So where you don't have full bi-directional integration across digital front ends like ours, then that is a happy medium to be able to put the call into the contact center, into the booking center, where requests can be actioned, whether it's a rebook or a cancellation of an appointment for a particular patient. Okay.
Thanks for that, Ikenna. Chris has watched again. He said, could you very briefly show the questionnaire aspects, please?
Yes, I could. Bear with me. So as a patient, once I've filled it out, I'm not able to go back into it as well, unless I create a new appointment. But yes, the questions we're effectively asking is, do you have continuous cough? Have you had a high temperature? Is there a change in sense of smell? Change in sense of smell or taste? Shortness of breath or tiredness? Do you feel that, basically? And if the answer to any of that, if the answer to all of it is no, then you're fine. If it's yes, then you are showing symptoms, in which case you can tailor the message to be delivered to them appropriately, basically. We have a halfway house where you might be showing signs of tiredness, or you might be tired of late, or you might have a change of sense of smell on its own. But in itself is not enough to suggest that you are symptomatic of COVID-19, essentially. So in that scenario where it's sort of gray area, the logic would allow the clinician, it showed that today, but it will allow the clinician to call you and assess you over the phone before actually booking you into the appointment, saying that you can actually come into the appointment. So it's not just a straight yes or no. The logic within the solution will take into account that one or two of those symptoms in itself is not conclusive of the fact that you are symptomatic, in which case it needs manual intervention to assess, basically. Does that help, Chris?
Thanks, Ikenna.
Yes.
There might be one final question that says, if you have more than one hospital in your area using this, can the patient see appointment for both places? So I suppose that could be interpreted two ways. You could be one hospital in the same trust, or you could have two hospitals in the same area but in different trusts. But I think if it's both signed up, you'll get both all the appointments, wouldn't you?
You would get both of the appointments. You're right, it can be interpreted in two ways. We do recognize that trusts can have multiple hospitals within them. So when you buy the solution, is a trust-wide solution, which means you'll be able to see all the appointments across all the hospitals, basically within that particular trust. If you have two different trusts in that scenario, then, and both of them have also actually bought the solution, then you'll be able to see your appointment in whichever trust that you actually log into. One of the things that we're looking at is where trusts are, border a particular area. So I don't know, Hampshire and Southampton, or some of the Southeast London trusts. Then one of the things we're looking at is the ability, so provided that there's a data sharing agreement across them, to be able to share their patient information. So as a patient in that particular area, you can log into any one of those trusts and see all of your appointments across that sort of thing. But certainly in a scenario where it's a multiple hospitals within a single trust, the solution out of the box allows you to see your appointments and deal with anything you need to do in one place.
And if there were different trusts and they had your solution, they would get both the appointments anyway.
They would get both the appointments anyway, correct.
Okay. One other question coming in. Right. It's from Chris. He said, sorry, it was regarding the query about the can you show the questionnaire aspects? It says, sorry, that was not what I was meaning. I was meaning, how could you configure this for pre-appointment screening for the red flags, or to update other records?
For the pre-appointment screening and the red flags to update other records. Okay, so the symptom checker for the COVID-19 is actually hard coded into the actual solution itself, and we can configure that questionnaire for you. Okay. The other question you may well be having is that you may want to be able to display a number of questions to a particular patient. So for a survey, let me give a brief example. For example, if I go back to my particular patient itself, we have an admin screen that allows you to essentially do this. But what you can do, if I send myself a friends and family survey, for example, what you can do is have a number of questions that you can configure within the solution. If I log in as a patient. Yeah, so here's an example of a survey that's essentially been set up for friends and family. The survey itself can be amended to add additional questions to it to be able to deliver surveys. I imagine if you have a pre-assessment or a pre-clinic type questions that you want to build into a survey, the patient hub could be used for that, provided the questions, what we aren't is not a survey monkey. So provided that the questions are relatively simple, in other words, a list of questions that you just want to ask patients with simple responses like you see on screen here, yes, no, binary, Likert scale on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to do this or that sort of questions. You can build those sort of simple questions using the survey builder within the solution to actually send out surveys to patients themselves. But yeah, I think that's the question you're asking. You're asking about the functionality to build out surveys for other things outside the symptom checker for the virtual check-in or queuing solution.
That was my understanding as well, Kenna.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, that's the end. There's no further questions. So once again, thanks for your time, McKenna. Much appreciated.
No problem at all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.